Welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig, and we are in the middle of a Bella shoot that just took place. And we have the editor-in-chief of Bellus Magazine, Vanessa. We are so excited to have her. We've been working for what, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you.
To get this, making this happen.
The stars have aligned.
Yeah.
And I've been really looking forward to doing this for a long time. In fact, what many people may not know is that when you were at Bella, and I first started, you were the person I wanted to sit next to at the Christmas party because you were like the only person I knew.
Do
you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And I was just sitting next to you, and we were talking about your friend Lynette, who's a big fan of Discovery ID, and she's also the co-founder of ETT Women.
Yes.
Let's just go back a little bit because when I was reading about you, and you have such an interesting history, you are a very spiritual person.
I am, yes.
You were raised in the Dominican Republic, at least for the earlier part.
Yes, until my parents divorced, and then we moved to Ohio, believe it or not.
Ohio? I would have never guessed that.
Yes, lived in Ohio.
But you talk about having a very clear vision of working in New York City as a writer. And that became your truth.
Yeah. Writing for me was just something that came naturally, and I know that we discussed getting into this, but I am a survivor of sexual assault. So as I just kind of like grew into my person, the person that I was becoming, writing, journaling, I kept diaries as a child, and writing just became a way for me it was just cathartic and a way to kind of like internalize lessons and whatnot. So I remember in high school just sitting with my best friend one day, and we were just talking about the future, like what are you going to be when you grow up? And I just always saw myself in New York City. I didn't know how, when, where, but it was always writing for a magazine or a newspaper. I actually started several newspapers in the schools, not just that I attended, but also that I taught, because I'm formerly a teacher by trade. So it was just part of like my big picture plan.
Isn't it interesting? And I share that same, I guess, idea, is that when I was younger, I wanted to be a therapist, I wanted to be on TV, I wanted to be an author. I had no clue how I would do it. And I'm sure no teacher ever thought that I would be a writer, because I just handed anything. But I think when you're younger, you sometimes can be very clear-minded about who you're meant to be.
And New York was just in my realm, always. It was just always something that I envisioned and pictured, and I could see the New York City skyline so clearly, and I could just see myself like typing away, and that's really what I wanted to do.
And that was your guidepost.
Yeah.
And you talk a little bit about how Courtney and Dan, they were the former editor-in-chief and publisher at Bellus Magazine, that there was like I call it God winked moment. You call it something else, and I love your word.
God incidences.
I love that.
Just because of how we met, it was just something that, I always say everything happens for a reason. When they launched Bella, oh my God, I forgot her name. Hold on one second. Denise Richards. Denise Richards was the first cover of Bella.
Oh gosh.
And my first business was jewelry making. And
how come I never knew that? Because I'm jewelry obsessed. Why did I not know that?
But it was my first. I didn't do it for very long, but I actually was able to send pieces of jewelry to several celebrities. Courtney Cox was one of them, and Denise Richards was one of them. And she had just literally the same day that I got the first issue of Bella in the mailbox, I had received a thank you note from Denise Richards, and it was like, what is happening right now? So
that's lovely.
Yeah, it was just kind of like one of those God winks, or the universe telling you like there's something here. And then I ended up reaching out to Courtney, and we became friends, and just kind of started supporting each other, and it was just, and the rest is history. But
what kind of jewelry did you make, and why did I not know that?
I brought a lot of the stones back from the DR, and Larimar being one of them, turquoise and amber, of course.
Yes.
And it was just kind of like that journey. I would take my clients on that journey of, I literally go back home, source from there, and a lot of the jewelry bracelets and necklaces included were charms from saints and whatnot, and they were blessed by the priest. And it was just kind of like part of like my spiel.
I want one. Okay, I don't want to digress.
No, I do have.
Okay.
So, and I do still do some things on commission. You know, people that bought from me, you know, years ago still call me and say, you know, I really want a fabulous necklace, and I'll do that for them. But yeah, I think it just helped me break through a period of postpartum depression. I had just had my son when I was going through all of that. And it just led me on like amazing journeys, you know, like who knew that this girl from the DR would be selling jewelry to celebrities, and you know, it was just crazy. So that's how it got started.
And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's not an easy path. You talk about your mom a lot and how wise she is, and when you were feeling depressed, one of the things she recommended was that you connect with women.
Yeah.
And that through connection you could feel better. And I'm a firm believer that first of all, the quality of our lives really has to do with who we are connected to.
100%.
And how we feel about those people that we are connected to. And female friendships are just so powerful because we're in the world in a similar way. And when you love your girlfriends and support them, there's nothing that feels better.
100%. And I just feel like I'm also on this path of like destigmatizing what women supporting women really looks like. You know, we always get this bad rep that there's this cattiness and there's this, you know, vindictiveness. And I would like to think that the people that are in my court, you know, are always looking out for the best, you know, for my best intentions as I am with them. So
I have to say, just in terms of my own personal history, and I know that you're very a proponent of empowering women and female relationships and female entrepreneurs. I came from an all-women's college in undergrad, and it was kind of in vogue at the time. And I really learned the importance of women supporting other women. I did not experience the cattiness, and I think it really served me well in life.
Well, and I didn't either growing up. Like I had really great friends in high school, which are still my girlfriends today. And the relationship that I managed to eventually foster with my mom, because it was kind of rocky there in my teenage years. But, you know, somebody that I obviously look up to and seek out advice from is just, you know, my peers. So absolutely, and we all need that. We're better because of those relationships.
I couldn't agree with you more. You co-founded ETT Women, which is also, we collaborated on a panel.
You spoke at one of our conferences.
I spoke. I had so much fun.
Amazing.
You helped me sell so many books. It was a great time. How did you co-found this group, and what gave you the idea? Who did you want to serve?
So when I had my jewelry business, one of the things that really just helped me grow was networking. So I understood the importance of networking and just getting in front of different groups of people and, you know, showcasing my business and to cater to just different, because my business was very niche, you know, it was very unique. And at the time, I mean, today, custom jewelry is all the rage. That's all we want to wear. But at that time, it really was just kind of starting. So it was a very particular woman who was looking for those pieces. So I had to find them.
How did celebrities find you?
I actually belonged to an organization that helped me get them in their hands, and I sent them to 5. Courtney Cox, like I mentioned before, was one of them. She also, you know, wore it and sent me a thank you note, which was amazing. But yeah, that's how that happened. And you know, when I moved from New York, Staten Island, I lived in Staten Island. When I moved to New Jersey, I felt like I was in this funk because I had lost my tribe. So it was really important for me to find, another crew of women that I could just rely on to just get myself together. So I gave myself about 6 months with my second child because I had, you know, I have never been the one to stay home. I did it for about a year with my first, and then with my second I did it for about 2 years. And then when I was ready to find my way again, I stumbled upon a newspaper that Lynette was featured in with a group of women entrepreneurs, and I kept popping in and being as opinionated as I am, kept interjecting and saying, but you know, we should do this, we should that. And one day we had brunch and decided to partner, and that's how that happened.
And again, the rest is history.
Understanding the importance that women helping women, needed to exist. And at that time, when I moved to New Jersey almost 8 years ago, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
And some of the women are working with Bella today.
Yes,
Their
they
hair
are.
and makeup team.
Yes.
Who worked on me today. And we'll give them a little love in the credits.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Lauren Venna, who I met about almost a year ago. She's part of my just my Marlboro, New Jersey community, and Jennifer Capella, who came through our conference. I mean, they're just fabulous. So yeah.
I was very impressed.
And my photographer also came through one of the women in my group who recommended her, because again, you know, it's all about what you said initially, the power of connections, and it's just one person helping another one out. And yeah,
you're a really good writer.
Oh, thank you.
You are the author of a book called 5 Steps to Fabulous.
Yes.
It's on Amazon. We'll have a link up to it. And you talk about the importance of women just finding their own version of what a fabulous life is, and that it's very individualistic. Yeah. And you also bring up a very interesting point about being in sync, so that your outer self needs to be in sync with your inner self.
Correct.
What did you mean by that?
So I grew up in a society where outward appearances were very much your, you know, letter of presentation, and it didn't matter how you felt inside. As long as you looked good and you showed up, it was all okay. And, you know, I had that coming to Jesus moment, as we say, with my son when I suffered from postpartum, understanding that I was kind of living in this farce, right? Like I felt like I was living 2 lives, you know, what I presented to everyone when they met me, and then the person who I laid in bed with, you know. And I had to realize then, when I did, that one thing cannot be disconnected from the other. We are one whole being, and we feel it. You know, if our health isn't, you know, in check, we will never feel in check also. So if our spiritual, you know, life is in disarray, then we feel it in other ways in our lives. And, you know, especially after I started a business, you know, I always say you can't show up to a meeting one way and then pretend to be that you're another person, you know, like, or be yourself. You got to show up as your full self.
It
all
also
the time.
feels inauthentic.
Correct.
And I think people want to see a real person.
Yes.
We don't connect to perfect because I think it makes us feel bad about ourselves. Plus, it's not accurate. And you know, maybe something we can collaborate on is like a mental health initiative.
That would be amazing.
Because
for
I
sure.
think when we lose that shame about having to be a certain way.
And listen, I lived with it for a very long time because, you know, going back to my abuse, you know, I felt for many years that it was my fault.
Sure.
And I felt the shame, and I carried that the weight of that shame with me for and it crippled me, you know, to pursue opportunities. And it was just like, you know, I'm not worthy. I always felt like I wasn't worthy.
Right.
And once I realized, you know, like, you know, my past is my past. It doesn't serve, like, that doesn't serve me anymore. And I had to really come to terms and forgive myself for, you know, what had happened, and myself, because I always thought that it was my fault. And, you know,
also women are chosen because they're vulnerable in some way. And yes, I think as women we take too much responsibility for things, even when it's not our fault. And you write about the sexual abuse, you're very open about it. It's a very honest book, so hopefully people out there will get to know you in that way as well.
I hope they do, for sure.
Just fast forwarding to Bella, where we are today. You have a very distinct vision that you're bringing to the magazine. Tell me a little bit about that.
Once again, it's going back to the core of just who we are as women and just human beings, you know, being connected to each other. I'd like to continue, you know, Bella's mantra has always been beauty defined by you, and what better way to showcase women of different ages, sizes, shapes, you know, bringing fashion and beauty and wellness and travel and luxury, you know, in all of that. And just having like a beautiful mesh of all of that come together. And I think that, you know, everybody's individuality, how they interpret fashion, you know, you have a very distinct sense of fashion yourself, and which I love, but so do I, you know, and we can complement each other and say, you know, I like those boots and I like this shirt, you know, and we take bits and pieces from each other and just enhance, you know, ourselves. And I would hope that when someone picks up the magazine, they can really find themselves in some aspect of the magazine, you know, in one of the pages. So
And one of the things you mentioned to me is that,
Yeah.
yes, celebrities will be a part of it.
course, yes.
But it will be many different women. And
Correct.
today,
Yes.
the shoot,
Yes.
there were many different women,
Yes.
all ages, all sizes.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I
Yeah.
think one of the things we also need to work on culturally is ageism.
Oh, 100%.
We're getting better about
Yes.
size,
Yeah.
and the next step is age, because it's really a way for women to disempower themselves
Of course,
if we buy
yeah.
into that cultural myth.
Well, and just like one of the models was talking about, you know, her holding herself back because of how tall she was, and I was like, "You're gorgeous. Like, what does that even mean?"
I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was
Apparently,
only
it
short.
was a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And here's what we learned, that we all have insecurities.
Yeah.
And so through this magazine, there's great articles.
Yeah.
It's about gratitude,
Yeah.
which is the last month.
Yeah.
And you have reinvention
Yes.
coming up.
Yeah.
So lots more to come.
Oh my God, a lot.
You're very psychologically based, so
Yeah.
that theme will run through
100%.
Bella.
Yeah.
We do something called the Quick Five,
Sure.
so that people can get a sense of who you are.
If you haven't already.
Yeah, and so we're gonna just go deeper. What is the best and worst purchase you've ever made?
Oh my gosh. The best purchase I've ever made are these boots, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, love
Best
them.
and-
Waited for them for like 3 months.
Uh-huh.
Have not taken them off ever
Oh.
since I purchased them.
That's a good one.
The worst purchase, oh geez, there's been so many, like to pick one. Oh my God, I bought this eyebrow stencil situation where you supposedly put it on and it's supposed to, and Lauren laughed. She's like, no, we're not doing this. Whenever you need your makeup done, just like, I'm here. So, but that was awful. And I remember doing that and looking at myself like, oh my God, what just happened?
You know what I wish? I always wish that I knew what I would love ahead of time. You know those things that you
Yeah.
buy and then you
Yeah.
end up loving,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
hard to predict sometimes in advance. I'm going to work on that in the new year. Do you think of yourself as being naughty or nice since it's around the holidays?
I think both.
Yeah.
I can't pick just one.
I think
so
all women are
I think
a
we're
little
a
bit
little bit of both, for sure. Yeah.
What is the best advice that you've ever received?
The best advice I would have to say was when I had my son, and this woman turned around and said to me, you wait to have them, and the minute they're born, you have to start to let them go.
Yeah.
And as much as that broke me, because I was like, no, but I just have them, I understood that, you know, children are separate beings, and they're not, you know, we want them to be a little us, and they're not, they're individuals, and
They
that
come
was really,
through us.
yes, and I still remember those words whenever I am, you know, trying to reprimand or correct. I always remember, you know, you got to learn to let them go, because
It's like you give them a foundation and you give them wings.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the best thing you can do, but it's bittersweet.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's very bittersweet.
Doesn't come without snot crying.
No. I have to tell myself, you will be a good mother-in-law. You will be a good mother-in-law.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yes, for sure.
What is the most courageous thing that you've ever done?
Buying this magazine.
Yeah.
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 Taking the leap of faith and
And
just
you're
saying,
doing it
yeah,
well.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and everybody seems to be having a
I
great
know, yeah.
time.
I would
along
hope
the
so.
way.
Yeah, they're enjoying it for sure.
When you're having a bad day,
Mhm.
what do you do to make yourself feel better?
I do yoga.
Nice.
I practice yoga religiously. It's become just part of like my daily morning ritual. I have to say ritual because Janine Mascarella doesn't like the word routine.
Oh, okay.
So it's become a ritual, and it honestly
It's a good one.
just, you know, resets me and gets me on my merry way. So yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
my
Thank
God,
you. I
thank
know you've had a long day.
Oh my God, I've been here since 7.
And just, you know,
Yeah.
we will have a link so everybody can
Yeah,
find Bella.
thank
And
you.
just also, you're so lovely about your husband and kids.
Oh my
At
gosh.
every event, you thank them. So we'll make sure to get a nice picture
Thank you.
from the
Thank
events.
you.
They're adorable too. And thank you for joining us on Talking Live, and we'll see you next week.